Okay, Assalamualaikum and very good morning. My name is Fatin Arifah Peti Shamsuri and my matric number is 267782. Okay, today I will present about uh, a little bit about construction technology. Okay, first, project life cycle. Initiation phase. First, initiation phase. We have to create and evaluate the project in order to determine if it is feasible and if it should be undertaken and at the beginning of the project. And then a suitable response to the need is documented in a business case with recommended solution options. A feasibility study is conducted to examine whether each option clearly identifies the project objective and a final recommended solution is determined. And when a solution is approved, a project is initiated to implement the approved solution. For this, a project manager is appointed, and at this stage, the major deliverables and the participating work groups are identified. And then second, planning phase. The planning phase involves further development of the project in detail to meet the project's objective, and the team identifies all of the work to be done, and the project's tasks and resource requirements are identified, along with the strategy for producing them. In a broader sense, identification of each activity as well as their resource allocation is also carried out. A project plan outlining the activities, tasks, dependency, and the time frames is created. And then require a document to show the quality plan, providing quality targets, assurance, and control measures, along with an acceptance plan, listing the criteria to be met to gain customer acceptance. At this point, the project would have been planned in detail and is ready to be executed. Okay, next, execution phase. This is the implementation phase where the project plan is put into motion and the work of the project is performed practically on site. It is essential to maintain control and communicate as needed during each implementation stages. A progress should be continuously monitored and appropriate adjustments are made and recorded as variances from the original plan. A project manager is the one who spends most of the time in this step. Throughout the project implementation, people carry out the tasks and progress information is being reported through regular project team meetings. And status reports should always highlight the probable and point in terms of cost, schedule, and quality of deliverables. And each project's deliverable produce should be reviewed for qualified and measured against the acceptance criteria. When deliverables have been produced and the customers has agreed on the final solution and the project is said to be ready for closure. And then performance and monitoring phase. This stage is all related to the measurement of progress and performance to make sure that items are tracking with the project management scheduling. And this phase regularly happens at the same time as the execution phase. Lastly, the closure. Closure is handling of a project documentation to the business, and then termination of supplier contracts, and then releasing project resources, communicate the closure of the project to all stakeholders, and last and final is to conduct lessons learned studies to examine what went well and what didn't. Activities that involved during construction project. We have 11 activities, which first is preliminaries, and then demolition, excavation and foundation, that the third one, and the fourth, the concrete and brickwork, and 5 finishes, and 6 M&E works, and then external works, construction activities, variation order, progress payment, certificate of practical completion, and certificate of fitness. So this is the activities that involved during construction project. Okay, next is key players. Key players. Okay, first, the owner or employer. Owner is also called a client, and owner is the person who actually arrange money for particular project, and owner is a real instinct who has to launch idea, and owner may be a person or government. He provides funds, and he is a funding agency for the project. Scope definition is also provided by the owner. And then the designer or estimator. Designer may be an architect or an engineer. He designed the project on the basis of his previous experience, and designer must have pre-qualification. Owner will select a designer which is expert in his work. Okay, under designer we have architect or planner. Architects are artists. They combine architecture, history, science, and art within the built environment to produce designs that will not only meet the client's requirements but also enhance the environment. And then CNS engineers. Construction engineering is a professional discipline that deals with the designing, planning, construction, and management of infrastructures such as roads, tunnels, bridges, airports, railroads, facilities, buildings, dams, utilities, and other projects. M&E engineers. M&E in construction refers to mechanical and electrical system. The terms of M&E are often taken to be interchangeable with building services or building services engineer. QS, quantity surveyors, are responsible for managing all aspects of the contractual and financial side of construction projects. Quantity surveyors manage the cost on a construction project. They help to ensure that the construction project is completed within its projected budget. And then the constructor. A constructor is an individual who utilizes skills and knowledge acquired through education and experience, and to manage the execution of all or a portion of a construction project. A constructor is primarily employed by or works as a general or prime contractor or a sub or specialty contractor. And then project planning and controlling. Project monitoring and control activities take place in parallel with project execution process group activities, so that while the project work is being executed, the project is being monitored and controlled by implementing the appropriate level of oversight and corrective action. The project is observed and measured regularly against the project plan to ensure that the project is within acceptable variances of cost, schedule, and scope, and that risks and issues are continually monitored and corrected as needed. The main purpose of monitoring and controlling activities is to be proactive in finding issues ahead of time and taking corrective action. Corrective action can require revisiting planning process group and updating the project management plan as needed, with the ultimate goal of bringing the project back in line with project objectives and constraints, and improving future execution to avoid repeating the same issues. And then the monitoring and controlling project work process collects, measures, and disseminates performance information and assesses measures and trends to forecast potential items requiring corrective action. This includes monitoring project risks and ensuring that they are being managed according to the project's risk plans. Outputs include first recommended corrective action, and then recommended preventive actions, and then forecast, and then recommended defect repair, and lastly requested changes. And then a successful construction. The last one, a successful construction. First, implement continuous planning. Construction managers should start planning long before a project begins and continue to revise and develop the plan until the project ends. And the design, pre-construction and procurement stages of each construction project require immense planning, and each may need to be revised as the next phase begins. And second, build an effective communication flow. Communication is crucial in every phase of any construction project. Building an effective communication flow will facilitate a coordination between all parties, and transparent communication will make the process smoother and reduce the number of emails and phone calls whenever there is an issue. One of the simplest ways to create an effective communication flow is using a centralized communication system. By synchronizing comments, photos, documents, and calendars in one location, you can monitor updates, costs, and scheduling changes as they occur. And then third, re-evaluate workflow. The purpose of construction project management is to ensure that the project is completed on time, within budget, and reaches the target. However, even if the project runs well, we still have to evaluate it. There might be better ways to manage the project or overcome issues. Without a complete assessment, you will never know what you can improve for better profits. The best way to have a successful construction project is to continually evaluate the way you manage it and ask involved parties to provide feedback on your workflow. And the last one is control costs the smarter way. The permits, wages, materials, and equipment required for projects are often exchanged between multiple financial sources and vendors. And from the initial bidding process to the closing of a project, construction managers are responsible for tracking and monitoring all costs, especially those related to the initial budget. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.